Hello, in this video we're going to go through 10 stocks, actually 12 stocks that you need to be looking at for next week that are possible buy opportunities, and we're just going to jump right into it here. So let's just start very simply with alphabetical order on these so that you can kind of follow along if you want. You're just going to jump around if you're looking for one in particular. So let's just get right into it here and throw this up. Here we go. Okay. So this is Apple, and this will be placed in the newsletter this week. The newsletter is free, comes out 3 times a week, and the link is in the description. There's tons of ideas in there. If you look at the Twitter feed, you'll see that some of them have actually doubled or tripled over the course of months. So to get to it, this is just starting, and I'm going to explain why. You have this base right here on this 129 level, and you've been basing. Okay, Apple has been basing since essentially, if you go all the way back, since October. Okay, you're in March. So you have a 6-month base on one of the predominant tech companies in the world. And let's just look at where this base really takes us to. So the base really takes you to 138, right? You had this little attempt up here, and we bounced off the trend line and didn't get there. But now, with where you're at, this is setting up to not only go here, you're obviously going to go to 145 before you go back up, or you go to 160. But this is setting up to curve. Now, what makes me think that? A couple things. One, this volume is starting to pick up. Okay. 2, look at the displacement. I didn't get into this in the RSI video too much because I tried to keep it simple. I'll link the RSI video at the end of this. But look at the displacement and the move. I have a 31% move in 3 weeks on RSI. And that's more of an advanced technique that I'm not going to really drill into. But understanding the differentiation, not only in the move of RSI, but in the magnitude of the move of RSI versus where the stock moved is pretty significant. So in other words, right, for a 1.5% move, I have a 30% move in RSI. That tells you the magnitude of the move is changing and that this thing is getting set for a big push. Now you saw that on Friday with the volume. You opened, gapped over this, and just kept going all day, closing at the high. People couldn't get in it. Now, if you overlay some of the more bells and whistles, right? So you can just see you're finally staying above. It's the first time you're above the 50-day since what? Back here. So in 2 months now, we're finally above the 50-day. The 21 is curling and is going to cross and get above this. So all 3 of these within the next week are going to start pointing up. Okay? That's going to add significant pressure and confidence to institutions to buy. But now let's get rid of one of these. Looks like we got rid of both of them, but let me put this back in so you can see really where we're going here. So on a longer term basis, looking at this on the weekly, and on these 10 stocks, we're going to drill down pretty deep into them, the ones that I think are buys. And at the end of them, I'm going to do 2 more, and I'm going to show you how to get ahead of these moves a little bit. Just a really simple technique. It's nothing too crazy, nothing that anyone can't learn. So, but you see this level right here, right? And we had issue with it, and then we just kept closing above it, which was great at 121 level. And you just kept pushing. You finally flipped it, and you're finally this week, we are above the 21 week for the first time since we broke it, and above this base. And we're above the bar that broke down on it. So you've broken this trend, you've broken this base. It leads us to this move fairly quickly. And I think that's what's going to happen. Now, couple that with the fact that your weekly RSI is just getting started. This can move very fast, and I know it's not that double or triple that you're looking for, that some of the people that message me on Twitter, but there's another way to do that. You can do it through deep in the money options where they take the premium out of them, and you can just go take a look for yourself and drill down into them. But you can find options in like May that are deep in the money that have very little premium associated with it if you're looking to get more juice out of the trade. But this would definitely be one that needs to be on everybody's radar. This let's start here on the daily on this one, Bntx. And as always, what we go over here is extremely timely, and you need to be informed about it as soon as possible. So I always recommend that people just click the subscribe button and click the all notifications. So there's a lot going on that I drew in this chart. So I'm just going to start over on a lot of these horizontal lines, and let's get rid of all the raise, and we're going to get rid of all the segment lines. Okay, so this is Bntx. Very simply, by looking at this, you can see where I'm going with it. But I think it's really important to understand what's transpiring here, because this has been building for a long time, and that's why it's one of the top 10 for next week. So you have this 121 level that we have finally closed above, that we have not been able to close above since February 1st. Frankly, we've never really been above that level that much. If you take a look at this area, just show you this so you can understand where I'm going with this, and maybe I should. Let me just blow that up, put that right there. Clean that up, and let's just slide this back so you can see this more where I'm going. So this was the only time we were above this area. Now, we are breaking out of this area, and look at what's going on here. Look at the volume. So you're normally at, probably 3 times what you are on a daily basis on Friday. And you have an open is the low. Right, you broke out of this little wedge area, you can see that. And you're flipping this. This has got to go to here first, but more importantly, really where it's heading is the top of this channel. So you're really heading towards this area, and I don't know the fundamental reason why this is moving versus some of the others. mRNA looks like it's kind of running as well, but not to the extent that this could go. This has the potential. And very quickly to get up to here, which is a 24 or 30 points. This moves pretty quick, and I'm going to explain why. You just have been basing in this move since, essentially you can go back to here and say you've been basing since October 5th. And only time you really broke out was up here. So you have a 6-month base, and this thing's getting ready to move. And with the capital inflows you're seeing in the market right now, this could continue pretty significantly. Also, just take a look. You're not overextended here, and if we drill down into this weekly, that's just textbook. Look at this wedge and how we broke the wedge. That's just, something you read in the magazine or, a technical analysis book. That's just perfect. So Bntx is the second one I would take a look at. And let's just go through this, because this one's a little different, but I want to start here. So they're not all going to be just automatic breakouts, that look. You're going to have to comb through the market right now, because new leaders emerge when you come out of a correction. And we are coming out of a correction, and we actually look like we're setting up to rip, but we'll do another video on that. You see this bar on Dash, and you see how it's encapsulating all of this. It's encapsulating that whole thing. Look at the volume and the average volume and how it's accelerating. Okay, that coupled with the fact that the RSI was trending up, but not only that it was trending up, and I'm going to link that RSI video again. I'm getting good reviews on it on how to use this, like how to actually really use it to make money. But what you're seeing here is not only you have this rise, but you have a breakout of it, right? And we're not even anywhere yet. We're right in line with where this is. So this is telling you that this is going to increase. That coupled with this breakout of volume, this is the 3rd highest volume we've had. So that tells you that you're setting up. Now we also had an undercut right here where we retested that double bottom, and we've gotten our response to it. So really you're looking for a 142 flip. Give it $1. Get above that line, 142. And then this should start forming one of those IPO bases and probably heads back into a 200 level fairly quickly. You're going to have some resistance here, right? You can see this. You can see why I'm saying this. At 177, you can see it hitting here. I don't have to go into too much detail, but yeah, you're going to get hit there. But that's 30 points. And the way this is curling and the volume that's coming in, this 50-day is not going to be that much of an issue. And frankly, we're just going to look at the weekly for a moment, because you really need, when you look at a chart, you really need 30 days or 30 data points, and you really don't have that. But if you go here and you look at your undercut on the weekly and what's transpired here, you flipped. So this is curling and setting up to push. So that would be the 3rd one, and I put that on your list. Now this one I threw in the newsletter on Friday, but it's not over. I mean, we're just getting started here. So this is setting up very nicely, and I'm just going to walk through this. We're going to get rid of the indicators for a moment, and we're just going to look at the price. And I just want to point something out. You're swinging higher highs, and now they're getting smaller, and now we're getting smaller. So the velocity of this move is contracting, and that's what you want to see. When we get tighter wound, we're setting up for a big push. This is setting up for a very large push. And really what we're looking for is to flip that 231, and once we do that, we should see a move like that. Now, if you go to the weekly on it, let's slide this over, what you'll see is you'll see that you've had basically this enormous bar here, right? Let me just draw that out for you real quick so you can see it. And as always, if you find this helpful, please like the video. I'm trying to get in front of as many people as possible to show them what it takes to be truly successful with trading without any of the, the nonsense and the garbage, but actually show what it takes. So let's draw this out real quick. Put this right here. I'm going to leave the arrow there for time's sake. Well, I can get rid of the arrow. Won't take me that long, right? There we go. Okay, see this wedge? But look, this is where you've been in this range. Okay, this is your range, right? That's an enormous range in 1 week. And we keep testing it on the week, and we're not breaking it. Hopefully you see that other level, but let's just put it in there in case you don't. Okay, so you can see test, 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 boom. Now we're not testing it. What do? We open, this is called a screw bar, but it's hard to see, but you open right on this level, and then you test down, and then you close at the highs on the week. If you flip this wedge, and what we're doing is getting in earlier on the daily versus the weekly, you flip out of this wedge, you're going to see major pressure come into this to purchase it, and you're going to see it head to, I'll throw in the indicators, and you're going to see this head into this 252, 260 level fairly quickly. This is one that looks like it's getting there. I'm going to go to the daily first. We're just not there yet. So we are getting there, and it is possible that we could see that double bounce. Now let's get rid of everything that's on here, horizontal line wise, and let's get rid of everything all these segment lines, and we're going to get rid of all the indicators for a moment. And actually on this one, let's just look at the bars for a minute so that you can just look at this. So sometimes it's just helpful just to focus just on the bar action and what that's telling you. Right? Get rid of everything, because really what you're trying to focus on is price action. Price action tells you everything. So essentially you undercut here, and then you bounced up, and then you're forming this falling wedge. And you should be able to see this falling wedge pretty clearly. But let's just draw it anyway. So you can see how we're going to get tighter and tighter here. Now, we're not there yet. We're not ready to jump in this yet. But let's throw in these indicators for a moment now. You have this cross here, and we're not respecting this at all, right? But once we've undercut this and tested, if we don't undercut this again and we start to rally through this line, so really what you're looking for is right here. Okay, you're really looking for this level right here, okay? Roughly 96, okay? So we do have a bounce that needs to happen here. But when you get through that line, this is ready. This is really ready to move, and you can see this even if up here. If I draw it this way, you can see that there's even a larger one with a smaller area. But I would want to clear both of them. But if you clear this, by that time you'll be above the 21, and you get above this 21 day, based upon this base and how tight it's been versus the move it's had, this could move. So it's definitely worth putting on your radar. It's not ready for prime time yet, but it could be this week. I want to wait on that one because I want to show you easy ways to get into that stock, kind of like a shortcut. This GRWG we've been talking about for some time, and we're getting there. So you have the 21 that's pointing up. See how we opened, and then we just ran right to this line. This line was here since here. And we went right to the line and we tested, and now we've come back down and can't get to the 50 or the 21 anymore, which is a great sign, and open and close roughly in the same spot right under this line. So really you're waiting for it to break there, and you're waiting for it to break on significant volume. Now you're getting some indications that this is going to happen. One of those indications is this. So let me just show you this real quick. Okay. So really what you're seeing here is you're seeing a break of the RSI while we have a lower low. Okay, that's called a positive divergence. And this usually determines the magnitude of the move. RSI is one of the indicators that's actually should be focused on as a leading indicator more than a lagging indicator. So you can see here, we break this line. 59.32 is your next level, but before you even worry about 59.32, you can now worry about this. Breaking above this line, right? So you are at 55.54 and you are at 54.93. So basically $56 is your trigger price. You break 56 here with this momentum, and I bet you would get even more color by putting the 5 and 8 in. Yep, and you can see how they've already crossed here, which is a positive short-term signal. You're going to break this eventually, get through this 59 and head here, and now look at me. And let's get rid of all these indicators so you can see this clearer. You see this upper channel? Once you get through this, the next level is to pop back into this channel. These lines are the same trajectory, and that's how you have to draw your channels so that you actually, that's a true channel. So what you're saying is your first stop is really this 67, but realistically, once you start breaking this and you get into that channel, it's nothing for us to get up here and get to that, that $80 level. So this has a lot of potential, and it's definitely worth watching and putting on your list. So HIMX is one, and we're going to drill into this one on the weekly. And let me put this up here. There it is. So, and I don't need the indicators for right now because this is really simple. Okay, this is your line, and you can see what's happening with it. See how we rejected? Can't close above it. Tried again. Tried this week. Can't close above it. Until this gets above 16.19, there's no reason to touch it. Now, what you should like about this is not only do you have a 7-year base on HIMX, you have a deep base. So, I have a $2 stock to a stock that was 16. Let's get rid of that. I don't need a text label. And so you're essentially setting up here for a major move. You're setting up for this enormous channel. And what's going to happen here, or just to count it out on how to pick a target, you can usually count the depth of the base and figure out from where that breakout is what kind of move you're saying. So if you break out here at 16 and you have a 14 deep, you're basically saying you have a $30 target. That's just one technical way of doing it. And basically what you're doing is just taking an inversion or an enantiomer of this chart and flipping it, right? That's all you're really doing. So, and that's where it could go to. So, but what we need to do is we need to break this level. Now you can see this 15.14 was an issue on HIMX, and it's no longer an issue, is it? And now these are curling, and they're starting to point up. This is positive as well, the RSI. Get me above this 16 a close, and you can even see here how we're starting to accelerate the volume. And look at all this dumping that happened. And you should be able to see this, but this is an important distinction. So when you have this level of, let's see if we can get this thing to stay. We're having an issue with it. So let's click off of it. Okay. So when you have this level here, where you have the RSI, right, lined up right here, you see this huge red spike. We hit here and we reject. If that's all that red line is going to do, is take me below this minor support, who's left to sell? So, the people that sold here, they're probably in from years and years ago and going, thank God I can finally get out. But you need to look at that level, because if that's all that you're going to get, that's really important. Now, PubM I've been talking about for some time, and I like it. You have to wait on this till we get above 60. And you can see why. 1, 2, you have this wedge. It looked like today was the day. That was Thursday. It wasn't the day. But we really didn't collapse on that, did we? And that's what's interesting about it. You came down on a really nasty bar. Like, let me explain this bar. So, like, you opened, you ran all the way up, and you basically closed flat. These bars, if you look at them, they're usually reversal bars, meaning that you're in for more pain. So that's not going to help. But if you look at this and how we broke down, then you look at this one, right? You can see. So usually these are reversal bars. They're not what you want to see. You want to see closing at the top of the bar. So what you're getting at here is now we're just consolidating here, and here's essentially our flagpole, right? And here's essentially a bull flag, right? With this being the top of it. A close above 60, and you have no resistance in this space. There's little, like if you look at this, you didn't base it all in here. Like not even a little bit in here. So that makes this very interesting, because when you flip here, what it does is before you even get to the top of the first bar, it gets you up 6 or 7 points, right? Just to even get to the top of there. And then the next bar. So you can see your levels here and why this can really persist. Let's go to the next one. So this is one that we were in the newsletter before. I believe we broke even on it or lost a little money. What I want to show very quickly here before we put in any more bells and whistles, and I don't even need the green and the candles to show this. So I just want to show this. This is the trajectory, and this is your true channel on the stock. Okay, you have these other little channels that we've been respecting, and we're having trouble with this line and this 27.5. When you flip 27.5 here, if you look at this and what's going on here and what's going on here, you have very little resistance. So flipping this line, and you have to wait for that to happen, the 29.56 level is going to propel us back into the 30s fairly quickly. But more importantly, it gives us the opportunity from this level to get back to the top of this channel, which is more like 10 points. So there's a possible 50% move in this one. And it's definitely something that should be on your radar. Fintech was the first group that really got hit there on the correction. And it looks like between this, Tiger, FUTU, that you're starting to see signs that that's coming back. So I like this, but you have to wait till you get above the 21-day, and you have to wait till you get above that 27.5. I would wait for 27.75. You can see how we've hit it here, and where that 21-day is. But this is setting up and should be on your radar. Square was put in the newsletter, and for those that don't get the newsletter, you haven't missed it. It's a really simple trade. I put it in the newsletter at 259. We were fortunate enough that it opened down on Friday and gave us even a better entry. And you're heading to this 320 target. And I just walk through this real quickly because this one's fairly simple to explain. You can see this channel. I don't even need to draw it. I'm sure everybody can see how we just went up and got a 10x move. But when you broke down and you undercut right here, you put your true bottom in. You put a double bottom in. And a double bottom is when you actually undercut the previous bottom and then bounce back up through it. And that's exactly what we did. So you have a true double bottom there. We came back down here and we tested again. And now we reversed. This is confirmation. What happened on Thursday is confirmation of the move. Clear, decisive confirmation. It's unequivocal. Now you have this W pattern. Okay, and you've broken that W pattern. There's no resistance up here. There's nothing. Essentially, really, all you have are the people that want to sell that are up here, which is 284. So this should continue. This may consolidate, but this should continue to push. And you should see some action in this. Now, the trajectory of these lines, see how all these lines are ramping up and going up faster? And they're all starting, I'm going to blow this up because it's important, and this is square. See how all the trajectory of these lines and how they're almost parabolic, the 5 and the 8, right? See how the 21 and the 50 and how these lines are just crossing through them? That tells you that you're having massive, massive buying, and this move will continue. That was one of the keys that I saw when we put it in there. But when you move that fast, you're just seeing an enormous amount of buying. And that is really reflective on what you're seeing with the above average buying here. So I'm going to just walk through two more that I think are positive that you should have on your radar. One is SI, and I'm just going to give you guys ideas and girls ideas on how you could look at these and get an idea on how to get in them early. So, and they don't work as well. So in other words, you get by waiting for true confirmation of the move, you always get a better accuracy rate. But if you don't want to wait because you know when it breaks this level that everyone and their sister's looking at it, so sometimes you have to get in early. Especially if you're trying to get a much better return on your money. And so, and if you get stopped out, you get stopped out. So what? You can always buy them back. It's not a big deal being stopped out. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Just means you're early. So Very simply, I just want to explain, you can drill down. If you're looking at a daily chart, okay, and you want to get in, you can drill down to an hourly chart, not 15 minutes, but if you're looking at a daily and trying to stay in it for a longer term, like a swing, drill down into an hourly. And I wouldn't go lower if you're trying to swing trade. If you're day trading, yes, but just for what I'm about to show you, do it this way. Just do the hourly. Your accuracy will be better. So 152 was our support line here. And you can see how we got to that level, tested it, reversed. As soon as you reversed through this level, okay, one, boom, reversed through this level and stayed through it, you could have put this trade on. And very simply, if you take out the low of this, you just get out of the move. So basically what you're doing on the smaller time frames of hourlies is doing the same thing with your support and resistance lines. And you can see how we hit here and here and here. So if you were in this earlier and you were looking at where to get out of it, by drawing these on the hourly, you would have known that, geez, if we hit here and reject, which we did, oh, I should probably get out. I probably shouldn't wait to see what happens. It gave you a clear indication. Same thing here. You can see how you came down, came up, and you can see the pattern. You can look for the patterns as well, but looking at support and resistance and how they act on those are really important. And you can overlay other indicators with it as well to see if it makes sense. But really what you want to do here is just look at price. If you start blowing back through support lines, you can use them as your entry points and also as your stops. And it will get you in things a little sooner. It worked perfectly on UPST, which I went over extensively on Twitter. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you may want to, because I do throw out a ton of actionable ideas. And finally, I want to give one more example of this and how to get in early. So let's get rid of all these bells and whistles. So let's just go through what's going on here. And we're going to drill down into this one. So this was previous. Just ignore that. That's from this buy. So we have an inside week here. See how you are right here and you're right along this line? So not only are you waiting for it to break on the daily, but it's important to understand that you need to drill down into these, because this trend right here, we're at 159.66. What does that do? That means that my trend line here, and look at this. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but this is important. You have this trend line here, right? And everyone, is waiting for this one up here. The way we broke this was pretty crystal clear to me. And it allowed us to get in this earlier by, seeing us open here. So it's really important to learn how to draw these properly. Just because they're not at the highs of all of them doesn't mean that they're not proper. So you can see how you flipped here, ran to here, and then consolidated here. We're looking for the 60.11, 160.11 level, and you can see how we're hitting it and how that equates to this on the weekly. You following me? See where we're at? Okay. Now, knowing that, you come here, look at the daily, and you're waiting for this to break out. And I do think this is heading back to the 200 range, and that's why I think it's important to put this one on your radar. I think Fintech's getting ready to move. Tiger, I'm not going to do, even though I know I'm going to get a lot of people that want me to do it, solely because I want it to break 20, and we've seen it 100 times not freaking break 20, so we're just going to wait. So you can see this, how this offered opportunities on the hourly by understanding and drawing your trend lines, right? You can see how you broke above it and how these support lines and how we ran right to it. What you can do here, and I'm just going to blow this up, when you flipped here, okay, and you flip this line and this support line on the hourly, which takes you all the way back to here and right along this line, right? When you flip this, it was pretty clear that that was a buy. And this could have got you in earlier instead of waiting for it to break up here. Now, with this little base here, if you drill into this, and I'm just showing this from a swing trade standpoint, when you broke out on Friday and you are here on the hourly, and then here's your hourly bar, and this is another way to look at these trades. The minute that I broke above this, so you have so here's your opening bar, here's your inside day, right? Or your inside hour. See how you're inside this? See how you get above that level? As soon as you click above that level, you can put the trade on and then just use this as your stop. Some people actually will use the low. I don't see the point. If it's not going to do what I want to do, I want to get out of it. And then you could see we ran right to here on the day, and then we came back down. So that's a way to get in there early as well. So there's two different ways, but I really want you to focus on getting in there maybe possibly a little bit earlier, and this will do that. But I understand why people want to wait for these moves as well, because it's confirmation. Just understand that everybody is really looking at the same lines. So any way that you can get yourself an edge and get ahead of that buying, it just gives you a little bit of an edge. So that's it. As always, please comment. Let me know which of these you like the most and which you think has the most potential. I'm always fascinated by that on these stocks to buy list, especially when we do them every week. And we'll go from there. Everybody have a great weekend.